Hey, this is Mark from Casting Crowns, and you're listening to Dispatch Radio.
All right.
All right, with me on the phone now is Duncan Phillips of Newsboys. We're going to get an update on this Winter Jam tour. As you know, is going strong now through its first full month. Duncan, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Brandon. How are you?
I hope you're staying warm. I'm blessed down here in Florida. We're complaining about a few degrees. You're up there with 11 semis, 150 people moving a tour around in the Great White North, man.
Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's been one of the coldest winters I can remember. Even Nashville, where we're based out of, I mean, single digits for Nashville just never happens. You know, it may once a year get down, to single digits, but it's been we've had a couple of days straight under freezing, and it's just I'm not into it. I can't wait to get to Florida.
You're gonna have to swing back around in April. Tell Michael and you guys you're just gonna revolt. You're gonna come down here, but we'll put you up in my church. It's a little tiny little venue. We'll just put you in there. Have to play some acoustic or something though. It's real small.
Dude, I'm ready for it. I'm so ready for it. I'm so over this cold. I was born on the beach. Of course, I'm from Australia originally, so we got nothing but beaches down there and warm weather. So that's what I gravitate to, and every chance I get, I head towards it. But yeah, I'm not down with this cold weather stuff. I'm not into it.
It's got to be brutal. Let me tell you, I want to hear about this Winter Jam experience. I mean, you've done this a couple of times, but tell me about playing in these arenas and what it's been like so far.
Oh, it's been incredible. It always is incredible. Winter Jam is something that's greater than some of its parts. I think for the fan, it's killer. 10 bands, $10. You get to bring your whole family. I mean, there's not too many things you can legitimately bring your whole family to. 2 to 3 generations of family, and everyone equally enjoy it. I mean, you go to the movies, you take the kids. I can only really take them to a G-rated movie. Anything other than that, I'm just not quite sure what's going to pop up on the screen. So, and then we're watching basically other than that, we're watching a cartoon movie. But I think the great thing, Winter Jam, across the board, if you don't like the band that's on now, just wait 10 minutes and there'll be a band that you will. And the great thing is, from 5-year-old to 16-year-old to 35-year-old, with your male, female, you can equally legitimately, as a family, enjoy the show. So I think it's a win-win. I think families really appreciate that. And, of course, the price, too. It's very affordable.
I tell you what, I don't want to sell this short because this was an amazing part of our going to the show is we've embraced this as our church, and we bring the youth group. And I've been a big fan of Newsboys a long time. A lot of the adults are as big a fans of any of these kids everywhere.
Absolutely.
And so we're
the great thing with that is we've been around for a little while now, so we've kind of almost had 2 or 3 lives in this thing where, back in the day, all the people that were with us at the beginning, they're now soccer mums now. They've got their own kids, and some of them even grandparents now. So it really is crazy to see. And then with the kind of the new reincarnation of the band, we're seeing this whole brand new slew of kind of 18 to 25-year-olds kind of discovering or rediscovering Newsboys again. So we're stoked.
It's a fantastic album. Restart is a great album. And in this show, you won over so many of the youth group because Duncan Phillips, I don't want to spoil it, but he puts on a little bit of a drumming show at one point. And what I wanted to ask, is I don't want to spoil it exactly, but how do you learn and to experiment? Hey, I think I can do this. And you start going, hey, listen, can we do this? Could we spin? Could we do this? Could we do?
Yeah, I learn it.
Duncan, you're not quite right that day. How do these things start to manifest themselves?
I've never been quite right. I mean, I think if you come from the other side of the world thinking you have a chance in the music industry, obviously you're not quite right. But I think it was one of those things back in the day. It was just like, what can we do to set ourselves apart? And we got together and we had the bright idea of taking the drums up in the air and doing crazy things with it. And it was like, well, it was one of those things that was born out of basically scribbled down on a napkin in a restaurant, and we were just crazy enough to make it happen. And the great thing with the thing now is that a lot of times if we don't do it, people get upset. I brought my kids 4 hours just to come and see you, do your thing on your drums. And I'm like, no, you didn't. You came to see Newsboys play. No, we didn't. Little Johnny said he wanted to. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
But no, it's a great thing. It's a fun thing, and the great thing, as I was mentioning earlier, there's a whole bunch of I call them kids, but 18, 25-year-olds that are discovering Newsboys for the first time and equally as excited about what the Newsboys do and who Newsboys are now as their parents were 20 years ago. So I mean, we're just in this incredible position. We're loving it. We're having the best time, and I think the great thing with it, it is absolute gratitude to where we are now, because we don't take a second of it for granted. Even though hopefully we made the transition look easy, it was incredibly hard on so many levels. But we came through the other side kind of there again, crazy. Yeah, I think you got to be a little bit crazy to do what we do. I think you got to be a little bit mental, and Newsboys are definitely a little bit mental, no doubt about it. And I think sometimes, God can use those people that aren't necessarily looking for their comfort zone all the time, but are willing to kind of step out in faith, maybe through ignorance, maybe even, I don't know, maybe through naivety, we just thought that we could, you know what I mean? We didn't know that the hurdles that we were going to come across, obviously back in the day and more recently. But we're kind of dumb enough or stupid enough just to think that we can. And I think sometimes God can use that to his advantage and do great things. So I think, saying all of that, I think the best is yet to come for Newsboys. I think God's not done with this thing yet, and I think looking ahead, looking forward, I think definitely the best is yet to come.
The spouses of all the Newsboys just earmarked this interview because Duncan just admitted how crazy, mental, dumb, and silly they are. And all the families are going, yeah, that's how they are. These blokes are a little unhinged. So it really comes through in the show, folks. Duncan Phillips is not even doing justice to how electric this aspect and finale of Winter Jam was, after hours of worship and praise by different bands and different styles of music. You get such an incredible appreciation for how God is working in different genres of music and that thing. And then these guys get to kick it off like a fireworks show at the end of a game. It is truly spectacular, and I hope that you don't miss out when they come to your town. Now, Duncan, when you sit down and you guys are come to put this Restart album together, Tate was very bold because he says it's the best album he's done since back in his Jesus Freak days. And you guys are playing, 6 or 8 songs off this album on this show. It's just fantastic. What has been your take on how well received? I mean, does that surprise you? Is it just confirmation for you? How do you even kind of get your head around that?
Well, it's many things. It's a risk because when you do something so... I think it's a great pop record. I think we wanted it to be great. I mean, when we sat down and talked about this record, we said, look, it's got to be better than the Born Again record. It's got to be better than God's Not Dead. We've got to keep on pushing here because we can't just rest on our laurels. I mean, we've got 2 records as Michael now about to go gold. And that's a great accomplishment. I don't take that for granted at all, especially these days. But it's like we've always been that band. We've always pushed ourselves. We've never rested on our laurels. We've never said, well, we've reached this thing now, well, that's good enough. And I think that's always been the fighting spirit in this band. And I wanted this record to be, if you put it on against Katy Perry or you put it on against Selena Gomez or any of these world-class pop bands, that it would stand up against it. And sonically, absolutely, I think it does. I think the songs are great. I think when you do a new record, you're really reapplying for your job. That's the way I look at it, because your fans that have known you for years, that are with you, you don't want to diss them. You don't want to make a record that's so far removed from what you've done before that they're looking at you and go, what just happened to my band? What are these guys thinking? But on the other hand, I think in general, the public, their tastes are continually changing and evolving in that sense. And so you've got to be aware of what's happening around you. And I think a lot of artists get into the trap where they think, well, this is who we are, this is what I do, I'm going to keep on making the same record because we've had success in the past. But, I'm not saying to become the fad either. You become the fad dies, you're going to die too. But I'm saying, this one we're it's still very much Newsboys. You can still hear Newsboys influence. I mean, it's been Jody, Jeff, and myself been the core of the band for the last 20 years, which sounds absolutely weird even coming out of my mouth to say that. But it has been the same core band for that amount of time. So it's still very much Newsboys, but then with this kind of incredibly, polished, shiny pop sensibility over the top was a great thing with Michael. It really afforded us to do that. I think, no dissing any other prior members of the band at all. But I don't think we could have done it before. I think with Michael being a world-class kind of talent that he is, we were able to do it this time and push our fans a little further, and a push for us too. I mean, gosh, we've never made a record like Restart before, so it was a major push for us on so many levels. I think every record, you learn so much. I mean, I've never stopped learning. I mean, each record you learn something, and with the Restart record, I learned again. I learned how to play pop music, and pop music, it's not easy. If it was, everyone would do it and sell million records. But why are there only a handful of pop artists that really do it well? Because it's a lot harder than you think. It's a lot harder than you think to make something so simple sound so good. And we pushed it on this one. I think one of the biggest complaints I've heard from people that aren't in their industry is that the music sucks. They may not agree with what what you're talking about lyrically, but the music is the conduit. The music is going to open the door. The music is the foot in the door. That's what gets people's attention. And the biggest complaint I've heard across the board is whether they agree with your lyrical content or not, generally the music is second rate. And you know what? I had to agree with them. I think generally it has been, and I'm not pointing the finger at anyone. I'm pointing it at myself, if anything. And this one, we wanted the art, the music to be great, and we dug hard. We spent 2 years, getting the best songs we possibly could, getting the best producers we could, the best studios, the best sounds that we possibly could afford. And I think we did that. And I think we end up getting a much better, more polished, more professional product because of it. And that's purely my opinion. But I think we have a product that if we can springboard from this point on, I think we're going to make some great records in the future.
I will echo every one of your great testaments there. It's a fantastic album. So with that, let me squeeze in one last comment from you here about the new film. We've got God's Not Dead right around the corner. That's just an amazing sort of a bridge in of itself, right? Give your thoughts on that whole big thing.
Well, that was an incredible thing, too, that kind of ended up in our lap about 2 years ago. The people from PureFlex, the people making the movie, came to us and said, look, we love this song. We love the spirit of the song. We love the lyrical content of the song. We want to make a movie. And we kind of, we're in music. We're not really in the music business. We're like, yeah, for sure, let's go for it. So we agreed to let them kind of use the song and that. And then about a year after that, they basically said, we want you to come and shoot your parts. And they sent us a script for our parts. And we're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be some hokey thing. What have we done? Anyway, we get to the shoot, and we're actually playing the show in I think it was Dallas or Houston somewhere now. I can't remember. And it was a big venue, a big kind of arena venue that we were playing that night. And they came and said, we'd learned our script. It was cameos basically. We'd learned our script, and they said 9 o'clock call for you guys to come and do your parts. And we're like, oh my gosh, we're used to getting up at the crack of noon, you know what I mean? So we're like, so we were kind of like, oh really, 9 o'clock, what? Anyway, so we get there. Anyway, there's, we thought there might be a couple of handheld cameras there, and and that was it. But we get there. There's about 50, 60 people on set. 6, 7 cameras. I mean, makeup here, but it was a real deal. So we're like, oh, okay, maybe there's something to this. Anyway, we get there, we do our part, and since then they've written in kind of cameos for some of the Duck Dynasty people. Kevin Sorbo's in it. Yeah. They used to play Hercules back in the day on TV. Dean Cain used to play Superman. Yep. So we got to hang out with a bunch of superheroes. That was pretty cool. And Shane Harper from Disney. So basically what it is, Shane Harper is the student in the college. Kevin Sorbo is the professor. And basically the professor says, if you say that you believe in God, I'm going to fail you. And of course Shane Harper, being a Christian in the movie, said, well, I can't agree with that. And it was basically the conflict between the student and the professor in the movie. So I've seen the movie. It's great. They did a really good job. It's not embarrassing, except the Newsboys acting part. It's a bit embarrassing, but I guess they had to give us some kind of cameo. But it really is a great little movie. I think it's we would like to everyone to go support it the first week. I think it drops March 21. I think
that's right, March 21st. Yep. Yeah.
March 21st. So they're going to release it about 500 to 600 theatres initially, and we want everyone to support it the first week, because then from the first week numbers, then they'll go release it to the rest of the theatres, depending on those initial numbers. So we really do need a big first week number, so it gets in the more. Then they'll release it to 2,000 theatres or 2,500 theatres, just depending on what that first week number is. So we really need everyone to kind of, we need to make a statement here. Our culture is going to hell in the handbasket for sure, and on so many levels, and there has to be a standard risen, and I think this is one of the ways where we got our culture screaming at us now that God is dead, God is for old ladies and little children, and he's irrelevant, and even if he was alive, he's not anymore, he's dead, which is asinine to me. But we need to raise, and there again, I don't want to get weird about it. I don't want to get partisan, sectarian, or odd about the whole thing. But really, that our culture needs to see that there is a group of people standing together, saying, "Well, that's your opinion, but this is our opinion over here. There is another alternative to this very kind of humanistic ideology that's kind of infiltrated our culture, and that's all this is." If you've ever got that person that you never known how to really, talk to them about your faith, buy them some popcorn and Coke and take them to go see the God's Not Dead movie. I think it'll be a great opportunity for a lot of people within our culture will say, well, hang on, maybe there is another opinion here.
Absolutely. Amen. And listen, folks, as always, the members of the Newsboys, emotional and passionate and honest about all these things, a lot of great energy, and we're going to have links to jamtour.com as well as the Newsboys website. You want to get a copy of Restart for yourself, but more importantly, get yourself a ticket to see Winter Jam. It's all through February and March, and of course, God's Not Dead opens March 21st, and we want to be out there supporting that. If that's the kind of films that you want to see, then you have to do your part and get out there and buy a ticket. So it not only lasts for more weeks, but it'll help gear up the next film or two after that. So, Duncan,
absolutely.
Thank you so much for fitting this in. An amazing conversation, and I look forward to talking to you again. We're praying for your safety and goodwill, and God bless you, my brother.
Thanks, Brandon. We'll see you real soon.
All right, take care.